Okay, we are live. We'll wait just a little bit to have some people pop on here. It is chilly today. It is snowing in Florida. I didn't think that I would ever say those words, but it's snowing more north of us. We live more in like central Florida, so it's just extremely cold today. I think the high was like 40, but up in northern Florida, that's where they're actually getting snow. I actually had a client up there who sent me a video, and they were, I think it was like 5 inches of snow, which is insane. But anywho, let's just wait just a little bit longer, have some people hop on, and then we're gonna go right into today's topic, which is the essentials to competing in 2025. When you pop on here, leave in the comment box when you are competing. And then also, in that same comment, say where you are competing. So let's see if we have some people competing in the same area at the same time. That will be interesting. Okay, let's go ahead and let's dive into this. So, hello everyone, welcome to today's live session, Essentials to Compete in 2025. I'm very excited to have you guys all here, whether you are prepping for your first show or if you're just looking to level up your game. This is going to be the place to be, because today I am going to be sharing key strategies to help you kick off your prep the right way. So we're going to be covering everything from boosting your metabolism to getting your meal plan in order, understanding what supplementations are truly essential, all of that stuff. Now, anytime if you guys have a question, feel free to drop it in the comment section. I'll be frequently checking over there, so that way I can answer all your questions as we go along. Otherwise, let's just start with the first thing. Now, the reason why I put this as the number one essential for starting a prep in 2025 is because this is going to be the most important one. If you've seen any of my other live sessions, I've talked about this previously, so I won't go into too crazy of detail with it, but I can't emphasize this enough, and that is start your prep by resetting your markers. What I mean by that, before you start a prep, we need to make sure that your calories are up as high as they can go, so then that way you have room to go into a calorie deficit so you can successfully lose weight. But then also make sure that you're not doing a crazy high amount of cardio before you start your prep, because essentially it's the same thing with the calories. If you are in off season and you are doing 30-40 minutes of cardio 5 times a week, when you start your prep, you're going to have to do even more, which means that you would be starting your prep by doing like 40 to 50 minutes of cardio. And that is an insane amount to start off a prep with, because we know down the road that you're going to hit a plateau and that we are going to have to do more cardio. And if you're already starting out at, let's say, that 40 minutes on the low end, you're going to have to increase it to 50 minutes or to 60 minutes. And just having that as like your second increase, it's way too high. So if we can reset all of our markers before we even go into a prep, it's going to put us in such a better spot. Now, a lot of people question of, oh, how high should my calories be? That is greatly dependent on your body type. I've had some people that will get their calories up to 2,100 and they just maintain at that. I've had one client where we were reversing her calories and we got her up to like 2,600 calories and she was still maintaining her body weight. So like she was just burning through everything. So really at the end of the day, it just depends what type of body type you have. But you should have your calories up in that higher amount. So with all of that being said, kind of to piggyback off of that, you want to start out with tracking your macros. It doesn't matter if you are planning to get a coach or if you are planning to do this prep yourself, you need to start tracking your off-season macros. So basically get a figure or get an idea of how many calories you are eating in your off-season consistently, and then where your macros are. So how much of those calories are coming from carbs, from proteins, and from fats. Because if you are going to be working with a coach, they're going to need to know that information so they can make the meal plan for you. If you are going to be working with yourself and you're going to be creating your own meal plan, you need to know where you are starting. Because when you go into a prep and your goal is now to lose weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit, meaning you're going to be eating less calories. But how do you know how much to eat if you don't know where you are starting? That is like I'm trying to think a good analogy for this. But that is basically just being like, yeah, I'm going to start eating 1,800 calories. That's where I'm going to start my prep. Well, what if you were already eating only 1,600 calories throughout the day because you would accidentally skip meals or you didn't have a big appetite? Well, if you're used to eating 1,600 calories a day in your off season, and then you decide to go into a prep and start out at 1,800 calories because some calculator online told you to, you're not going to be losing weight. So, to start off, reset your markers, track your macros so you know where your calories are in your off season. From there, that is where we can now get an idea and set up our meal plan for your prep. Now, when you are doing a prep, there's a lot of different ways that you can set up your nutrition. You can track macros, where you have a little bit more freedom with your food, and you just have basically a daily goal where you're like, okay, I am going to be eating blank amount of calories every single day and this much protein, carbs, and fats. And from there, you pick and choose whatever foods to fill those ranges. For a lot of people, that's a great way to go because you got a lot of flexibility. You can change your meal plan on a whim. So like if you're late at night and you're like, shoot, I had steak tracked in my macros, but I forgot to set the steak out. And so now I need to go have chicken instead. You can, switch things around as needed. Versus if you are doing the other option, which is a meal plan, it doesn't have as much flexibility. And that's just because on the meal plan, you already have it laid out with exactly what you're eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So that's a good option because it's a lot more straightforward. Once you have that plan, you just keep repeating it. You don't have to sit there and track your macros every single day. So it's a lot less work to do, but you are going to be repeating meals. So with those two routes, again, you can either talk to your coach and figure out which route you want to go with, or if you are doing it yourself, you got to sit down and decide, okay, which route am I going to do? If you are going to be really honestly doing either way, you have to start off with knowing what your macros are going to be to start off a prep. So you're going to take your calories and what you were eating in your off season, assuming that you went through a metabolic boost, or some people know it as a reverse diet, and got your calories up to as high as possible. You are then going to take a deficit from that calorie range, and that is going to be where you're going to start your calories for a prep. So typically the number is 500 calories off per day to lose around 1 pound of weight loss a week. So if you are eating, let's just say 2,000 calories in your off season, just because that's an easy number. If you are going to be starting a prep, we're taking 500 calories away from that, and that will start your prep at 1,500 calories. Now, once you have that range in the amount of calories that you're going to be eating, you can either, like I said, track your macros every single day, put in a little bit more work, but have more flexibility, or you can just sit down and pre-plan a whole day ahead of time and just repeat those meals day after day, and that's going to be your meal plan. So those are the two different routes that you can go. But no matter what, having a nutrition plan is going to be an essential for prep. If you are going to try to prep for a show by just eating healthier foods and eating smaller portion sizes, it's not going to work that well. You need to have clear and defined nutrition goals that you are going to hit spot on every single day. And that's going to be the same thing with your weightlifting, the same thing with your cardio. You need to have a specific goal that you are hitting every single day. Okay, let's see if there's any questions so far. It says that there's 3 comments, but I don't see any. I only see 2. Okay, that's okay. But moving right along, the next essential for a prep is going to be setting a weekly check-in time. Again, if you are with a coach, that coach is going to let you know, hey, on blank day we have our check-ins. If you're going to be doing a prep yourself, still set that check-in day. Even though you're not going to be physically checking in with someone, you're just checking in with yourself that day, still have it very specific on what day you are going to be doing it. So that way you can keep yourself accountable. Because if you are going through a prep by yourself, it's very easy to just get lost in the process and forget to check in and see how your progress is going. Because you still need to see how you are doing every single week to make sure that you're on the right timelines. You are going to be prepping and peaking on time. So in that check-in every single week, you're going to look at your progress. So how much do you weigh? And you're going to compare that to how much you weighed last week. You're going to be checking in with how you are feeling. Are your energy levels okay? Are you recovering okay? Are you having okay digestion? I know that's not something a lot of people like to talk about, but are you having bowel movements? Are you backed up? Are you having sleeping issues? Just like all little things you want to check in with yourself. So that way you can make sure that you are getting solutions to those problems as well. Because as time goes on, things are going to get more difficult, and you don't want things to just be swept underneath the rug, and we don't want to avoid them before they become too big of a problem. Because let's say sleep, for example. That's a big thing that a lot of people can look over. But if you can notice a trend of, hey, I'm getting pretty shitty sleep, I need to start doing tactics to make my sleep better, that's going to be a lot healthier for you versus driving yourself into a hole by the end of your prep, being extremely exhausted, not being able to recover, and then just wearing your body down to zero. So it is important to check in on yourself and markers all the way around. Okay, and then the next essential thing that you need for a prep, and I think this is a big one because this is a very taboo topic. Not a lot of people like to talk about it, and it's kind of a gray area, and that is supplementation. And the reason why it's a gray area, because there's really two sides of the totem. There's the people that are gung-ho with supplementation, who think they need a huge stack and they need to take 20 different things to see results. And then there's the other side of people that aren't taking anything at all, and they think supplementation is just a big waste. And so a lot of people are confused, and they are just stuck in the middle, and they're like, I don't know what to do. Especially because you see a lot of advertisements of these companies that are promising big things with their supplements or with their, weight loss medication that is going on nowadays. And I'm here to tell you that a lot of supplementation is not necessary. I think there is a handful of things that can be beneficial in the right time and place, but I don't think you need nearly as much as the average person thinks. So, the first, really, I guess let's say there's two supplementations that I think everyone should take no matter what. First one is pre-workout, for obvious reasons. It's good to have some extra energy before you go work out. The only reason you wouldn't take pre-workout is if for some reason you are super sensitive to caffeine. I mean, even so, you can get stimulant-free pre-workout. The second supplementation that I think everyone should take is creatine. Creatine is going to be the number one most studied supplement that is proven to actually work and to actually have benefit. So creatine is going to be really good for strength, it's going to be good for muscle building, and it's also going to help with muscle recovery as well. So even if your goal isn't necessarily to gain a whole bunch of muscle mass, creatine is still going to be fantastic for you during a cutting phase, just to make sure that we are not losing muscle mass as we lose body fat. Just because when we start to lose weight, our body doesn't really care too much what it gets rid of. If you are in a massive calorie deficit, it's going to start giving away some muscle mass. So if we can take creatine and have that prevent some of that muscle loss, it's going to be well worth it. It's also really good for your brain health as well. Now, other supplementations that can be good for you is going to be protein. Now, typically you should be getting enough protein throughout your normal diet, so like from natural sources. But if you are the type of person that just like really struggles to get in enough protein, you can supplement it with protein powder. Again, it's not necessary. I wouldn't depend on protein powder to hit your protein goal, just because it is going to be more beneficial if you do get it from natural sources. And then same thing with a post-workout carb. There are post-workout drinks that supplement companies sell, and it's essentially liquid carbs, which again is very important to have after your workout, but you necessarily don't need to buy a whole supplement for it. You can just eat a meal after your workout, and you'll get your protein and you'll get your carb source in there as well. So again, you can spend more money and you can buy a protein powder and you can buy a post-workout supplementation, and you'll still get those macronutrients you need. But on the other hand, you can easily just eat a meal afterwards and you can get the exact same thing. And it's going to save you a lot more money as well. Another great supplement that can help you is glutamine. So glutamine is going to be really good for those times in prep where you are pushing yourself really hard and you need better recovery. Glutamine is also going to be really good for your immune system, and it's also been known to help your gut as well. Same thing with BCAAs. BCAAs, it's a little bit more on the fence. I think this is a very situational supplement. I think 90% of people necessarily don't need BCAAs. The only time that I would recommend BCAAs is people who like to do fasted workouts. So if you are doing a fasted workout in the morning where you don't eat anything beforehand, it is beneficial to take at least BCAAs, so in that way you can make sure that your body is not breaking down your muscle mass to get energy. So again, it just helps preserve some of your muscle mass in a fasted state. Now, a huge one that a lot of people have questions about are fat burners. Now, especially with it being so close to the beginning of the year, I've seen so many commercials about fat burners. It's ridiculous. But it's not necessary. I think fat burners are a lot of it is a scam. Like, yes, it could help you burn a little bit of extra calories, but is that going to be the number one reason why you lose weight? No. And a lot of time, fat burners aren't going to make you burn that much extra calories to really make a big difference. Now, if you are doing a bodybuilding prep and your calories are super, super low, you're already doing a whole bunch of cardio, like you've already exhausted all other options, taking a fat burner, can that give you a little bit of an extra edge? Sure. But again, at the same time, that is when you are really just picking up the fine little details. If you're someone who is just trying to go through a normal weight loss transformation, or if you're like early on in prep, you should not need it. Now, let me go through the comments real quick. Okay, now they're showing up. There we go. Allie says, hey Allie. Pavia is saying she's never competed before, but she's working on it. That's exciting. Allie asks, when is the latest time I should decide if I want to do that Iowa competition? That is a good question. So technically, for a competition and actually like signing up for it, you only need a couple weeks. Like I always tell all my clients, don't sign up and actually pay for the show until you're a couple weeks out. One, because you never know what's going to happen in your prep. You can get sick, you can accidentally get hurt, anything can come up. So until you are a couple weeks out and you know 100% for sure you are going to be doing the competition, I wouldn't sign up for anything. Now, you still want to prep for that show way ahead of time. So depending on your timeline and how long it would take you to prep for that show, that's going to be dependent on your case. Now, since you are a client of mine, we are working together. That Iowa show it was like in the beginning of May, I believe. So it's actually right around the time of the show that I'm looking at. So that would be about 15 weeks out. So honestly, in your case, you could easily start prepping for that show. And especially with where we left off, it would be perfect for you to just slide right into like a bodybuilding prep. That would only take you a couple more months. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Okay, but let's go ahead, let's talk about the very last thing. The final thing that is an essential for a prep in 2025 is getting a bikini, getting heels, and start posing. As soon as you even think about competing, I want you to go buy a set of heels, and I want you to get at least one posing session with a good coach, so then that way you can start practicing. Because A lot of people are afraid to pose when they aren't stage lean. They're like, oh, I can wait. Like, I don't like how I look. I'm not confident yet. And so they keep like putting it off and putting it off. But posing is something that you can't just pick up in a couple of weeks. You want months to practice the posing. So the further out that you can practice, just the best case scenario you will be in. And the reason why I say to get at least one posing session with a coach is because we can make sure that you are practicing the right things. There's a lot of great resources online, don't get me wrong, but it's good to have a set of eyes look over your routine and make sure that they're tweaking in letting you know what your bad habits are so you know exactly what to practice. Because you can watch a video online that is very informative and tells you how to pose, but if you are accidentally doing something wrong and you sit there and you practice that wrong thing for months and months on end, it's going to be really hard to break that habit. Versus if you can just get that session right in the beginning, you know exactly what to practice, it's going to help you out. Especially with the getting the heels. If you are not someone that wears heels on honestly a weekly or daily basis, you need to get your practice in. And it is quite different from just like walking in heels to actually being able to pose and like pivot and move around and everything as well. And I know I say this all the time, but when you get your competition shoes, make sure you get a good pair. I love the Shoe Fairy. I know they are a little bit more expensive. They are definitely an investment, but they are well worth it. Posing is already going to be tough. Like, I'm not going to lie, it is going to be tough. And if your feet are absolutely killing, it's just going to make things more tough. So just get yourself a good pair of shoes. And then when it comes to the bikini, don't get your competition bikini until you're like 8 weeks out from your show. But in the beginning, you can get a posing bikini or like a practice bikini, which is basically like a plain one. And then if you're really just trying to save money, you can easily just use like a regular swimsuit bikini. Getting a posing bikini is going to be a little bit better just because the back is going to actually be shaped like a regular competition bikini, which is going to help you be able to accentuate your glutes a little bit better. But at the end of the day, if you need to settle on a swimsuit from Target, you know it's better than nothing. But otherwise, that is going to be the essentials for a successful bodybuilding prep. I hope you guys were able to get some valuable tips out of it and you feel more confident about your journey. If you are looking for personalized guidance to take your prep to the next level, I offer one-on-one coaching and posing sessions tailored to your unique needs. Whether it's refining your stage presence or needing a custom plan, I will be there for you. Don't forget to share this live with anyone who might find this helpful. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I will check the comments real quick just in case if anybody has any questions about anything we just went over. It looks like there is not. So if you are watching this back, and we're not live anymore, feel free to still leave a comment. I'll end up checking out the comments throughout the week and then responding back to you guys as well. So otherwise, again, thank you guys for watching. Take care and have an amazing night. Bye, guys.